So let's have a little chat, shall we? you, have to, you have to excuse my voice. Sinus drainage, child. Mm-mm-mm. Turn your pain into gain. Turn your pain into art. The bigger picture. Here we go. I was watching and I'm continuing to watch a series on Netflix called Hollywood. And basically, what it's about is old time Hollywood and how they really got down behind the scenes, and how a lot of those old time Hollywood stars, the men in particular, a lot of them were male prostitutes. Some of them were gay male prostitutes. Some of them were prostitutes for older women, meaning that they fucked older women for money. Some of them were flip flop, meaning they would fuck men and women if the money, if the dollar was right, if the dollar amount was right. But nevertheless, the spirit began to talk to me, and I begin to really understand how does that translate into what's happening today in our culture when it comes to the world of entertainment, because and sports, because some of those people, some of those men that were participating in the gay orgies at George Cukor's. He was a well-known director or producer back in the day who was gay. Um, the people who would come to his house for these orgies, a lot of them were sports guys, men who were into sports, athletes. Okay, and one of the characters in this movie is Rock Hudson. I did not know that that was Rock Hudson until the guy said, "Oh, I'm Rock Hudson." So it's a very interesting storyline. They're showing you different celebrities, but you don't know who they are until they start really going further and further into their storylines. It's very interesting. And a lot of these storylines are loosely based on different things that happened in Hollywood during that time. But here's my point. This is what I wanted to say and how it ties into black men and their energy now. There's one gay black guy on there who's a writer for this movie. And you have to watch the series for yourself. I'm not going to give it all away. But let's just say these guys who prostitute in Hollywood, they work at a gas station as a camouflage. Let's just say that. And this black guy, he's a gay guy who's a writer. He's very talented. And he's one of the prostitutes on in the gas station or whatever the case may be. But here's, what I find interesting. Not necessarily about that particular individual, but I'm looking at the bigger picture. And I'm looking at it from an occult standpoint. A lot of those men had to allow those producers and directors to either suck their dick, or they had to fuck them in order to get positions in the studio or to get parts in movies. So how does this connect to black men and their energy now? Now I'm beginning to really understand why black men in particular, and this is not, and let me say this as a disclaimer. I'm an occultist. This isn't coming from a place of emotion. I'm looking at it as a scientist and as an occultist. I'm not looking at it from an emotional standpoint. I'm looking at it from a spiritual standpoint and an occult standpoint. When you get black men who don't like engaging in homosexual sex with other black men just for pleasure, when you get black men who are vile and malicious and disrespectful and evil and nasty towards gay black men or other gay black men or bisexual black men, whatever category they're in, when you get these types of men who totally disrespect, disregard, and attack other people's energy who are black, now I'm beginning to see where that came from. Because as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the men who went to these, these sex orgy parties in this particular show, a lot of them were athletes. Now, they were white athletes, of course, at that time. But I'm beginning to really understand what's really going on with a lot of these black athletes and a lot of these black male artists in general. And how that, on an occult level, how that puts people up under ritual. See, Hollywood enchants everyone. Not me. Doesn't enchant me. But it enchants those who are not conscious and those who are not on a higher vibration and frequency. So what they are doing and what they have been doing, they will ban or they will condemn homosexuality. But then behind the scenes, all of the men that are banning and condemning homosexuality, they're participating in homosexual acts themselves. They're either allowing mainly white gay men to suck their dicks, suck their energy, because in this particular show, there is a gay white man who is a well-known producer, okay? And he required any man that came to him for a role, he required that man to allow him to suck their, he wanted to suck their dick. That was the requirement to even get a reading for a role. And I understand why he did that, because he was trying to suck their motherfucking energy, and you can tell that that particular character was very well versed in the occult and with words and how to use words to make people feel a certain type of way. Words and all of that motherfucking shit, it's called neurolinguistics or whatever the case may be. And you can use certain words to break a person's spirit and to break them down. And that is what he did to these big, strong, handsome men who you would think normally would have high self-esteem, and this little ugly, funny-looking gay guy, he would break them down to size because, number one, he wished he looked like them, and number two, he knew that if he was not in that position, he wouldn't get no motherfucking dick. So looking at that, I begin to really understand the manipulation and the ritualization and the mind control that black men are up under. So it's no wonder black men act so flaky and crazy and so hateful towards other black people, because they have been put under ritual and mind control. And I'm not making excuses for them, but I'm looking at the bigger picture, because that is what I do. I'm the occult view. So that explains, black women, why black men are acting so crazy and so distant. They're up under ritual. And the ones who are not in the industry in any way, whether it be music, sports, entertainment, act, whatever, the ones who are not in that industry, they are just a byproduct of the rituals that are going on, period. You know, the type that always say, oh, you got to look like this. Your body has to be like this. You can't have saggy breasts. You know, your ass has to look like this. They're all being bamboozled, mind controlled, ritualized, distracted by the machinations of Hollywood and the Hollywood machine. And looking at this particular show, I see now how all of this was implemented. Tell them it's something wrong with being gay, because we don't want them having an individualized idea or ideology of who they are. We don't want them being individuals. We want them to be up under our control. So we will ban and tell them that homosexuality is so wrong that you cannot enjoy sex with an adult. If you're another gay person, whether you be a man or a woman, or even if you're a heterosexual person, they control you too. Oh, you can't date this person. You can't do that. You can't do this. Because they want to control, this is what I figured out, They want to control that sexual energy. And that is what we're dealing with. They want to control your sexual energy. They want to control what you are attracted to so they can continuously pilfer off of your motherfucking energy. And unfortunately, a lot of black men are susceptible to this tactic. Unfortunately. A lot of black men are susceptible to this tactic because they will do anything to get themselves out of the circumstances that they're in. They don't care if they have to let gay white men suck their dicks. They don't care if they have to fuck them up the ass. And I'm not picking on gay white men. Let me just be clear. I'm just bringing them up because in this particular series, Hollywood, it's a gay white man that's really running shit behind the scenes. And see, this is what I've been telling you all for the longest time. Behind the scenes, this is what's going on. But everyone has so much hatred towards gay black people. But behind the scenes, these black men, they're fucking with these gay white men so they can get shit popping in their motherfucking life. And then they'll come back into the black community and talk about homosexuality. Homosexuality is wrong. Homosexuality. Y'all know who I'm talking about. These pigeon-toed, chitlin breath, a yellow toe, a crooked toe, a funky breath, not looking motherfucking Negroes. You know the type I'm talking about. I ain't talking about all y'all now. I ain't talking about all black men. But I'm talking about these particular type. Homosexuality is wrong. But they don't talk about pedophilia. They talk about homosexuality being so wrong, but they don't talk about how they have been caught, in acts of pedophilia with children. They don't talk about that. They would rather shame and demean adult women for expressing their sexuality, expressing their sexual energy in a way that is comfortable and safe for them, that doesn't cause harm to anybody else. But then they will accept white homosexuality, and I'm not coming down on white people. It ain't like that. But I'm just making a point. They will accept white homosexuality, but then they will attack and condemn black homosexuality. And I'm talking about black men. And now I get why. And now it's becoming clearer and clearer why a lot of these black athletes are the way that they are. Why they have such a disconnection from the black community. Why they do not like black women. Why they do not want to be involved with black women. Because they have been trained to hate black women and to hate the black community at large. They've been trained to do that by the gay white men who are controlling them behind the scenes. The rich, elite gay white men. I'm not talking about, your average, white guy or your gay white person. I ain't talking about y'all. I ain't got no issue with you all. I'm talking about the ones who are the elites. Even the black elitists. They're black elitists too. Or black people who have an elitist type of attitude that do the exact same thing. Allegedly Quincy Jones. Allegedly. I'm going to say it that way. So while we're all distracted by this and that, it's really that or this that's really happening. You feel what I'm saying? So this show, really, the Spirit started talking to me and said, you know what? Now you see what's happening. This has been going on for so many years. It's a ritual that's been going on for half of a century or more. Now, what they did was they said, oh, okay, we'll let black men into, the sports arena. We'll let them into the acting, arena or whatever the case may be, because now we can get that big black dick and we can drain them of their energy and we can ritualize them, keep them distracted, keep them up under our mind control, pit them against the black community for our own fucking purposes. Okay? That ties back around to the Black Lives Matter movement. The person who's behind, allegedly, the Black Lives Matter movement is a rich man named George Soros, a billionaire. And I've been hearing a lot about him. Now I don't know too much about him, but he's an older white man, and he's behind the whole Black Lives Matter thing. Well, I'm not saying that he's the founder of it. Maybe he is, maybe he's not, behind the scenes. But he definitely pours a lot of money into it. He pours a lot of money into the Black Lives Matter movement. And like I told you all before, and I don't give a fuck who it offends, a lot of those black men out there marching in that Black Lives Matter movement, they don't like other black people. They could give two fucks about other black people. They could give two fucks. That's all an agenda. It's about putting money in certain people's pockets. And see, that is where the black elites come into play. They get the average black person all riled up. Yeah, get out there and march, and you got to do this, you got to do that. They sit back in their million and billion dollar homes. Not no $1 billion homes, but they sit back in their $1 million homes while your average black person goes out there under ritual, under mind control, thinking that they're marching and looting and doing all of this shit that's going to make a difference. You know, the trick, the mind trick. I'm going to call it a mind control, MK Ultra trick, or whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to call it a mind control trick. That sounds better. The mind control trick of this time it will be different. Because for some reason, black people think that this time it will be different. It will never be different until black people start having conversations with each other about how we have hurt each other. What about all of the black men that have killed and murdered other black men, and the pain and anguish and trauma and terror that you have caused other black families because you have murdered other black men and other black women? What about that conversation? Now, I have seen black men apologize to white men for shit they have done to them for criminal shit. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve an apology or anything like that, but when are you going to apologize to the black families that you have destroyed because you've killed the men in their family? When are you going to apologize for that? I'm just asking a motherfucking question. I'm asking a serious question. So it will never be better until black people have that conversation with each other. Take white people out of the equation. You always want to use, black people always want to use white people as a scapegoat. And sometimes you can't. You can blame them for some things. You can blame them for some things. But a lot of shit we do to ourselves. We do a lot of self-inflicted harm to ourselves as well. So when are we going to have that conversation with each other? See, we're up under this time it will be different mentality, mind control. And it's not going to get any different. It's not going to get any different until black people seriously have a conversation with each other about the trauma and evils that we do to each other. And that includes a lot of us in these black motherfucking families. We sit up and we march and we cry for other people, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't. But you have done harm to people right in your motherfucking family that you have not rectified. So this time it will be better will never come until we have that conversation with each other. And you notice they're always using celebrities and high-profile people to speak for your average black person. When Oprah did that whole thing, what was it? That thing she did after George, which is in their face, died, was murdered, whatever. When she did that whole thing, what was the name of it? Where do we go from here? All of those people that she was talking to were elitist black people. None of those people were your average black person. They never talked to your average black person. They only talked to actors and political people and so-called fake activists. The bigger picture. And this particular show really helped me to see the bigger picture. This is not me ragging on black men or anything like that, of course, but I'm just looking at the patterns. And this is across the board for gay black men, straight black men, bisexual black men. I don't give a fuck. This is across the board. The bigger picture. Because the rituals that they do, it doesn't just affect the people in Hollywood, the actors that they're doing the rituals the ones they're doing the rituals under or over, whatever. It doesn't just affect them. It's a trickle-down effect because they want to shape the culture. They want to shape how people think. They want to control what you are attracted to. They want to control what you like. They want to change your perception, which is the perception part of your, all of that is in the cerebral cortex of your brain. That's where your pineal gland is. That's where the thalamus, I may be saying that wrong, but the thalamus gland and all of that. Changing your perception. And if they can change your perception, then they can manipulate your reality. And that's what they have been doing to a lot of black men, because you all think with your dicks. You don't think with anything else. You think with your dick. And in your mind, oh, I can let this gay white guy suck my dick. I don't have an issue with that. I can let him suck my dick as long as I get something out of it. As long as I get a extra biscuit and piece of chicken, I'll do it. I don't mind letting him do it. But then you want to come back into the black community and you want to condemn and kill gay black men, and then you want to take your misplaced anger out on black women. Because you are in a state of collusion, confusion, and illusion. That's not our fault. That is why you see a lot of these black men in the industry going motherfucking crazy. That is why you see a lot of black men in general going crazy. Because they are in a state of confusion, delusion, illusion, and collusion. Because they're colluding with people who mean everyone harm, no matter what your skin color is. So sometimes it ain't even about the race. They want to control everyone. But I'm using black men as an example because I'm black. And I see the harm that it's doing to black men in particular. I see the harm that it's doing to them. I see how they're fucked up. Or their ways are fucked up. I'm not going to say they're fucked up, their ways. And when I say their ways, I'm talking about their decision-making processes. How they treat people. How they interact with people. And I'm talking about gay, straight, bisexual. I'm not just singling one group out. I'm talking about black men in totality. So that show or that series, Hollywood, it really put things in perspective for me, and the spirit started really talking and saying, this is what's really happening. This is how this culture today has been shaped. It is built upon prostitution, pedophilia, and pilfering of the black man's energy. You have been sucked dry, black men. They have sucked you dry. There's nothing else left. You've been sucked dry. But then you want to come back into the black community and you want to take out this misplaced anger on gay black people, but you behind the scenes getting fucked and sucked by gay white men. and then calling yourself straight. You ain't straight. No, this is not, you ain't straight. And then let's not even get into what they do in these fraternities and stuff. These black fraternities. Brother Panic did a whole thing on that on his channel where he talked about that. Doing the butt. And that's not necessarily based upon sexual attraction. That's based upon ritualization and tapping into certain energies and frequencies to open up certain fucking portals and gateways. Same thing with pedophilia. To open up certain frequencies and vibrations and gateways. They exploit and use children's energy. See, pedophilia is not just about the physical rape and violation of children. Pedophilia is also about exploiting the child, exploiting their innocence. You understand what I'm saying? And we live in a world where the people that control this place, they use and exploit the energy of children. We live in a world that is run by pedophiles. So that is why a lot of black men don't want adult relationships, whether they be gay or straight or bisexual. You hear them say the same thing all the time. Are you just an old ass man? Or you just an old ass woman? Well, what do you expect people to do? You expect people to stay the same age all the time? They want people whose bodies look like children's. And this is this new breed of black men. This is this new breed of black men, although it's been going on for quite some time. But this is the new breed of black men. So we're actually going back to when pedophilia was more acceptable back then. We're going back to that time. So when I really begin to examine why a lot of adults nowadays have issues with other adults, it's because a lot of these people, they don't want relationships with adults. They want relationships with children or adults who look like children. I'm just pointing it out. I'm just pointing out what's really going on and how this show Hollywood, this Netflix series Hollywood, really gave me a really good perspective. This is me just decoding that. It gave me a really good perspective on what's really, happening. They don't want relationships with adults. They want relationships with children. And because these elitists do this type of shit, it's trickling down to your average person. Not me. Let me be motherfucking clear. Not me. I like adults. Always have. Hell, I'm almost 40 motherfucking 1 years old, and guys that are even 30 years old look too motherfucking young to me. You feel what I'm saying? I like men, 35 to 45, that's good, or even 50. I'll take them 35 to 50. But see, those men in that age bracket, a lot of them, they want people that are 18 and below. I'm just speaking the truth that nobody else wants to speak about the type of culture that we live in. So it's no wonder everything is fucking destabilized. It's no wonder everything is destabilized. And the energy feels, interesting now. We just came through a Mercury retrograde. And because I'm spiritually in tune, and because I'm on a higher frequency, it did not affect me. But I saw the effects that it had on other people, even my mother. I saw the effects that this Mercury retrograde has on other people. It doesn't affect me. The bigger picture. And that's what I'm starting to look at now. When I examine things, I'm looking at the bigger picture. Why do black men act the way that they do now? Why are they so distant? Why does it seem like they're changing into another species now? Getting all of these tattoos over their bodies. This is something that black men didn't used to do. And when I say all over their bodies, I'm not talking about having a tattoo going up your arm or a tattoo on your arm or your belly or something like that. I'm talking about them defacing their entire bodies. That's another fucking species of energies. That's a transformation of some sort. Black men didn't used to do shit like that. And I made a video about that a while back. So now I'm beginning to understand what's happening. Their energies have been sucked and replaced with someone else. A lot of these black athletes, in order for them to really get in the motherfucking industry, they gotta let them white men that own those teams, they gotta let them white men suck their dick. Or they gotta fuck them up the ass. That's how they fucking get down. And those acts right there are not based on being gay, per se. That's not about being gay. Because I love men because I love them. I like them. I like their bodies. I like their minds. But see, black men nowadays, they don't respect you when you have an affinity for them. When you have a genuine like of who they are as a person. You may like their minds, but in their mind, that turns them off when you like them for who they are. Because they have been trained to be nothing more than sex bunnies. I'm going to call them sex bunnies. That is what they've been trained to be. That is what they have been trained to do. So someone like me who just likes them for who they are repulsed by that. And I'm talking about gay black men or bisexual black men. For black women who deal with heterosexual black men, it's the same thing for you. They're not capable of accepting and receiving love because they have been put up under ritualization by the industry. And they're not even in the industry. But don't they act like industry people? Even the black men who are just working your average jobs. They act just like industry people. Always combative. Always angry, always bitter, can never keep a commitment, always flaky and shady and shifty. That's because they're up under ritual and they're walking in a ritual and they're walking up under mind control. Some people call it spells, I call it mind control. Their perception has been changed and altered and they don't even know it. They just know that they're walking in a constant, perpetual cycle of enslavement. So now I get it. Now I get it. The bigger picture. Anyway, this is the Occult View, aka Sia Grant. I just had to come through and I had to say that. That was on my mind, on my heart, and I only speak when I have something to say. Thank you.